Apple launches their new iPad minus a number. The new Apple ecosystem now supports 1080p, and iOS 5.1 finally gets released for us mortals. All this and more coming up right now. Hello everyone, this is Jaime from Pocketnow.com, and welcome to the Pocketnow iReview, the show we go through all this week's cool and the not so cool inside the world of Apple's iOS devices. Call this a special edition for the new iPad, so let's start talking about it. That's right, Apple has just released their new iPad and they decided to get rid of the number. It kind of makes sense since none of us carry the iPod Nano 6 or the MacBook Air 3, but I guess we just got accustomed to the number, so now it kind of feels weird. The new iPad is no slouch though. It packs the Retina display that we've all been waiting for ever since the iPhone 4 got released. It's got quad-core graphics, LTE support, dual-core HSDPA aside from HSPA+, a new 5-megapixel iSight camera, and the optics that we all love from the iPhone 4S. The price points don't change with the original iPad or the iPad 2, and you can expect the device to be shipping and available as of March 16th. Even though under pre-orders it kind of gets a little tricky because they're already slipping to March 19th with all the pre-orders that have already been done, so we could recommend that you also visit Radio Shack. Those are the only other companies that are offering pre-orders for now, so stay tuned for your new iPad. Now, a bold move from Apple was to leave the old iPad 2 in the market. For $399 you could get the iPad 2 in 16 gigabytes and Wi-Fi, and for $529 you could get the 16 gigabyte model with 3G. Now, Best Buy and Apple have pretty much dropped the prices of all the current leading iPad 2s that are available in stock, so if you're out there for an old 64 gigabyte iPad 2 with 3G, well, now's the time. Now, how do the iPad 2 and the new iPad compare? Well, both devices are the same height and the same width, but the iPad 2 was only 0.33 inches thick, and the new iPad is thicker at 0.37 inches. The new iPad is also heavier since the old iPad 2 weighed only 1.33 pounds, and the new iPad weighs 1.44 pounds, and add an extra 2 grams if you want to compare that between 3G and 4G. The iPad 2 had a screen resolution of only 1224 by 768 at 132 pixels per inch, while the new generation iPad now doubles that at 2048 by 1536 at 264 pixels per inch. The new iPad has the A5X processor that we're still waiting to compare since they touted that it's even better than Tegra 3 with the 12 cores of GPU, so it's kind of interesting to see that. Performance may not be that different with the iPad 2 when it pertains to multitasking, if there is multitasking there, but obviously graphics are supposed to be better. Now, the iPad 2 only had 512 megabytes of RAM in comparison to the new iPad, which has 1 gigabyte. Storage hasn't changed, and well, connectivity-wise, things have changed dramatically since the old iPad only had 3G and this one has 4G LTE, HSPA+, and dual carrier HSDPA. Let's not even talk about cameras because the old iPad 2 only had 0.92 megapixels in comparison to the 5 megapixels in the new iSight camera, which is now decent. And battery-wise, even though we still have the same 10 hours on both devices, there's a big difference here. See, the old iPad 2 only had a 25 watt-hour battery in comparison to the new 42.5 watt-hour battery included in the new iPad. Now, even though these specs don't surpass in any way the old first-generation iPad, the new iPad is better in every way to its predecessors, but it's kind of curious to see how the device will feel at hand because I did feel that the first-generation iPad was a brick in comparison to the iPad 2, so it'll be interesting to see how Apple manages to handle the weight distribution on this new device. Apple has also changed the game for iTunes and all of their content ecosystem, now supporting 1080p in both iTunes movies, videos, and just about everywhere. Apple even launched the new Apple TV that we were expecting supporting 1080p now. They haven't mentioned if that has an A4, A5, or whatever chip they have. We're not even sure if it's just the same Apple TV with a software tweak that tells the device, hey, I have a new device here, so give me 1080p, and the old devices will still stay stuck at 720p, but we'll see how it stands in the future because obviously one of the biggest questions that we have is how the iPad 2 will scale 1080p content with a screen resolution that has more pixels. Kind of interesting to see once we have our hands-on review. Now, iOS 5.1 was also released to the market even though it received very little buzz from Apple. It does include the enhancements that we've been waiting for in the iPhone 4S and the iPad 2, but we filmed a separate video to tell you everything about it, and well, so far the changes have been quite good, though remember you're going to be risking your jailbreak if you upgrade, so watch our video and think about it. Now, since we came about and didn't tell you about how the battery life ended up being, let me just tell you, there's no big difference. The iPhone 4S is still sadly not having the best battery life ever. Okay, so that does it for the cool. Let's continue on with the not so cool, and let's begin talking about the predictions that pretty much didn't make it. First of all, iOS 6 was not released, and even though it was expected, well, we were expecting that Apple will finally bring us some sort of UI changes with the new iPad and their new Retina display, and sadly that was not the case. We're still stuck with the tad load of icons in the old iOS UI, and aside from that, we still didn't get Siri on the new iPad, and this is probably the biggest question that everybody has. Now, Siri is a gimmick to many people. It's useful to others. I only use it for tasks and just to give me reminders for calendar events. People were waiting to at least get Siri on this new device, and we only get dictation now. If Apple's excuse was the fact that you really need a device that's permanently connected like the iPhone 4S is always stuck to data, what happened to the 3G or 4G iPad not getting Siri? There was no excuse for that. That's it for today's show. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Jaime Rivera from Pocketnow, and well, don't forget to leave us a comment down below for anything you liked or didn't like, and also don't forget to give us a thumbs up if you liked what you saw. That's it for now.